Hi guys. So I have Tanya here. Tanya could not join us for our kickoff in Budapest because she had a lot of travel around the region, but we discussed that we really wanted her to share a few thoughts with you. So I will ask her a few questions, and Tanya, if you could share your perspective. So. My first question is about the relationship of your team and ours. So, what do you think the Husky marketing team is bringing to your team?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank to the whole team because what we do in all our markets are three things. Number one is we grow the business. Number two is we innovate, and number three is we educate. And driving the business, driving innovation for businesses, and driving education is fundamentally what we need to do because that's boosting the auction, that's boosting ad coverage, so it's extremely important for the business growth. But not only that, it's changing the ecosystem, it's transforming the ecosystems for the digital age, and there I see incredible value in our teams working very closely together, and I love the programs you developed for our businesses to help them grow, such as agency leadership program, business leadership program. I see these programs expanding even to other audiences such as publishers recently, right? So I like all that innovation that comes together jointly from your and my teams working together and knowing what we can do as a knowledge transfer engine for our businesses to actually learn. If you would ask me which are the two programs that I love that your team is doing, so there will be two. Number one is definitely Google Partners, and that's like kudos goes to Menk here in Prague and Bogi in Budapest. And the second would definitely be the team on the ground that drives Grow with Google, and that's a fantastic job of Ninka here in Prague, and then Tina and Majka in Bratislava, and finally Anna in Budapest. So ladies, this is fantastic. With the Grow with Google team, I especially highly respect the performance-driven culture, both of the program. In fact, all the teams are extremely ambitious, data-driven. There is a high energy, and I really love that. It's exemplary. It's like role model for us, and it's great to see. So I have seen the impact over the years on acquisition. I have seen the impact on same-store growth, and I see the impact on one agency. And despite the fact that this is not LCS space, it's extremely important because, as I said, it drives the ecosystem and it's a health of the whole economy. So on which we then build the LCS business. So, bravo, guys!
Okay, thank you for the nice words. Now we are kicking off 2019 quite late. It's the end of Q1, but it's also because 2018. Especially the end, which kind of transferred to the beginning of 19, was very challenging for us. So I wanted to ask you what was the biggest challenge in 2018 for you? How did you overcome it, and what did you take away from it in a positive way?
Yeah, well, good question because and good timing because last year was really probably one of the most challenging years for me in those 13 years that I'm at Google, and the reason being is because it's been for the first time I've been facing reputational challenges, not from the Google's perspective but from personal perspective, and I had to handle the negative reputation that came as a result of some of the failures we did on the product side and some of the failures we did as a team, raising the issue properly internally and fixing it quickly. I personally learned how important it is that I as a leader do much better job in problem statement definition. That I as a leader do much better job in making sure I escalate efficiently when the problem happens. And that at Google means three things. Number one, you really make sure that when you say there is a problem, you can come with data-driven approach to actually explain what the problem is, number one. Number two is you need to put the right people around the table, because there are very little problems at Google that could be solved within one function. Mm-hmm. You usually need PR, policy, marketing, business together at minimum. And you need to reach alignment between these people and make sure that they have similar perspective on how they look at this problem, and they all agree this is really super challenging situation and we need to do something about it, and why. And then you need to go as a team to actually go, and if it's too slow, all the way up to actually escalate.
Now, speaking about 2019, so what do you think we as a team, as a marketing team for Husky, should keep in mind for 2019, maybe what's changing from 2018? So what should we keep in mind for our work, some important topics?
Listen, I think that we are smaller countries, we are small teams, and we need to be better than everybody else in this company in being focused and doing the right things with the right narratives to the right audiences at the right time. As the world around us and Google is getting much more complex, I believe simplicity and focus is exactly what we need to be very good at. And listening to recent business review with Matt Brittin, it's all about back to basics for business. So for us on HUCZSKy, it's like search, mobile, YouTube for performance, and think big, which means export. Right? So when I look about what I'm gonna do 2019, it's just no rocket science really. It's just go back to basics and master this discipline. And then obviously I have a new kid on the block, and that's called Romania. And it's super exciting to actually make sure we reach that simplicity, consistency, and scale between those four markets. Check.